I'm Joan. Sitting in my modest studio apartment, surrounded by the soft glow of my desk lamp, I'm still processing the events of Christmas dinner. The silence is broken only by the occasional buzz of my phone, filled with messages from investors, journalists, and board members. The news of our company's $8.2 billion merger has sent shockwaves through the financial world, but the real shock was reserved for my family. As I reflect on the evening, my mind takes me back to the beginning of the dinner. I was sitting at the kids' table, listening to my older sister, Isabella, who is 38, boast about her recent promotion to senior marketing director at a well-known firm. She was dressed in an expensive designer outfit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and she made sure everyone was aware of her success. "The corner office has an incredible view," Isabella said, swirling her wine. "I can see the whole city skyline." "Of course, you wouldn't know about that, Joan." I forced a smile and cut into my turkey. "It sounds wonderful." My younger brother, Lucas, who is 30 and works as a financial consultant, chimed in with a laugh. "She has a stable job answering phones. It's honest work, I guess, better than nothing." My mom, a traditional and somewhat overprotective woman, set down her fork deliberately. "Joan, sweetheart, we're just worried. You're in your 30s. Most people your age have made more progress in their careers." I replied quietly, "I understand." My dad, a no-nonsense man who values stability and success, leaned forward with a disappointed look. "You graduated from Harvard, Joan." "Harvard, and you're working as a receptionist at some startup. Do you know how it looks when people ask about our kids?" Isabella nodded sympathetically, though there was a hint of superiority in her eyes. "I tried to get you an interview at my company for an entry-level marketing position, but you said you were happy where you were." "I am happy," I confirmed. Lucas muttered loud enough for everyone to hear, happy answering phones. Living in that tiny apartment in a not-so-great neighborhood and driving an old car. Real-life goals. My grandma, Mildred, who had been mostly quiet, suddenly spoke up. "In my day, women didn't have the opportunities you girls have. Joan should be grateful to have any job, even if it's just a receptionist." My cousin, Ethan, laughed from across the table. "Grandma, she went to Harvard. She should be running a company by now, not greeting visitors." This kind of conversation was nothing new. For the past 8 years, at every family gathering, holiday, or birthday party, I had endured their disappointment. Their words had become like background noise, and I had long given up trying to explain myself. My mom continued, "The tech industry is so competitive. Maybe you should think about switching to something more stable. Your dad has connections at some big companies." I said, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm content with my current job." "Content?" Dad repeated, as if the word left a bad taste in his mouth. "Your sister is thriving, your brother is on track to be a partner at his firm, and you're content answering phones." Isabella reached over and patted my hand, probably thinking she was being sisterly. "Joan, I'm saying this because I love you. You're wasting your potential. That startup you work for, what's it called? Digital Innovations? No one has even heard of it. It'll probably fail like most startups, and then what will you do?" "I'll figure it out," I assured her. "Will you?" Lucas challenged. "You dress like a college student, live in a neighborhood that's not the best, and do a job that anyone with a high school diploma could do." My uncle, Arthur, who had been listening silently, finally joined the conversation. "The boy has a point, Joan. You're at an age where you should be thinking about your future, like marriage, family, and financial security. How can you attract a good partner when you can barely support yourself?" I said evenly, "I support myself just fine." Mom's voice rose slightly. "Last time I checked, you were living paycheck to paycheck in a studio apartment. You never go on vacations, never buy nice things for yourself, and always make excuses not to attend family events that require travel." I pointed out, "I went to cousin Lily's wedding in Miami." Isabella countered, you drove there and back the same day. You didn't even stay for the reception because you said you had to get back. Get back to what? Your exciting life answering phones. The truth was, they weren't completely wrong about the surface things. I did live in a simple apartment, drive an old car, and dress simply. But what they couldn't understand was why. Mom's voice softened. I'm just worried about you, Joan. You're my daughter, and I want to see you succeed. Is that so wrong? Of course not, I replied. Dad insisted, then why won't you let us help you? I could make a few phone calls and get you interviews at some good companies. Real jobs with good salaries and benefits. You could move to a better neighborhood, get a decent car, and live a life that matches your education. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Lucas said sarcastically, someone's popular. Probably spam calls. Maybe it's good practice for your job. I pulled out my phone and saw 3 missed calls from the board chairman, 2 from our head of legal, and 1 from our CFO, all marked urgent. Mom said, see, this is what I mean. You can't even put your phone away during Christmas dinner. Is that how they train you at that company? No work-life balance. I started to stand up. I should take this. Dad commanded, absolutely not. We're having a family discussion. Whatever it is can wait. Lucas joked, probably someone calling to extend their car warranty, and Ethan laughed. My phone rang again. This time it was the chairman calling directly. Mom said firmly, Joan, sit down. This is disrespectful. We're trying to help you, and you're prioritizing spam calls over your family. I looked at the screen and then at my family's disappointed faces. After 8 years of this, part of me wanted to answer the phone and end the charade. But another part of me knew that some lessons needed to be learned the hard way. You're right, I said, declining the call. I apologize. What were you saying? Dad looked satisfied. We were saying it's time for you to get serious about your career. This receptionist thing has gone on long enough. Your mom and I have been talking. We think you should move back home for a few months, save some money, and let us help you find a real job. I repeated, move back home. I'm in my 30s. Isabella said, clearly, you're not able to manage on your own. There's no shame in admitting you need help, Joan. We've all been there. I pointed out, you haven't. She replied, because I took my career seriously from the start. I didn't waste 8 years being satisfied with an entry-level job that goes nowhere. My phone buzzed with a series of texts. Uncle Arthur said, for God's sake, turn that thing off. I glanced at the screen. The messages were from our head of security, our chief technology officer, and our lead investor, all marked urgent and asking where I was and when I could get to the office. Dad's voice was sharp. Put the phone away or leave the table. I said carefully, I think there might be an emergency at work. Lucas burst out laughing. An emergency at the reception desk? Did someone spill coffee on the visitor log? Maybe the phone system went down. Isabella shook her head sadly. This is the problem. You think you're so important at that little company. They've probably brainwashed you into thinking you're essential. Joan, receptionists are replaceable. My phone rang again. This time it was our largest institutional investor calling on Christmas Day. Mom said firmly, no. Whatever it is can wait until tomorrow. This family time is important, Joan. You need to get your priorities straight. Dad agreed, your mother's right. Part of growing up is learning what matters. Right now, it's this family and this conversation about your future. I looked around the table. Every face showed disappointment, concern, and a kind of pitying judgment that I had grown used to over the years. They truly believed they were helping me, thinking I was a failure who needed saving. Fine, I said, silencing my phone completely. Let's talk about my future. Dad looked pleased. Now we're getting somewhere. Lucas offered. First, how much notice do you need to give at that company? 2 weeks is standard, but for a receptionist, they might not even need that. Isabella said, I could get you an interview next week. It won't be a senior position, of course. You'll have to start at the bottom and work your way up. But at least it's a real company with a real career path. Uncle Arthur asked, what kind of salary are you making now? I named a figure, my official receptionist salary, which was modest but enough for me. The table erupted in sympathetic murmurs. Mom said, oh, Joan, that's barely livable in New York. Lucas makes almost 4 times that, and he's younger than you. Aunt Grace tried to defend me. Money isn't everything. Dad countered, it is when you're in your 30s with no savings and no prospects. Joan, this is serious. At your salary, how will you ever buy a home, save for retirement, or have any financial security? Grandma Mildred said, some people are content with simpler lives. Not everyone needs to be ambitious. Isabella repeated, she went to Harvard. She shouldn't be content with a simple life. She should want more. My silenced phone was lighting up constantly. I could see the notifications piling up. The board chairman had called 6 times, our chief legal counsel had sent 3 critical texts, and our head of investor relations had emailed with a subject line of media inquiry. Response needed immediately. Mom asked, what do you think, Joan? Will you at least consider moving back home temporarily and let us help you find something better? I looked at my phone one more time. A new message from the board chairman read, Joan, we have a situation. The merger announcement leaked. The press is calling. We need your approval on the public statement before markets open Monday. Where are you? I said slowly, I think I should probably answer my phone. Dad said, absolutely not. We're not finished here. Isabella added, this is exactly the problem. You let this job control your life. They've probably convinced you that you're irreplaceable, that they can't function without you for a few hours. It's manipulative, Joan. That's how these small companies operate. My phone started ringing again. This time it was a number with a Washington, D.C. area code. Lucas glanced at my screen and laughed. Who do you know in D.C.? Did you apply for a federal receptionist position? Maybe you put the wrong number on your resume. They're calling to tell you you didn't get the job. Isabella said suddenly, answer it, Joan. Show us how important your little receptionist job is. Maybe it'll help you see how ridiculous you're being. Everyone was looking at me, waiting. The phone continued to ring. Mom said warningly, Isabella, don't embarrass your sister. Isabella replied, I'm not trying to embarrass her. I'm trying to help her see reality. Joan, answer the phone. Let us hear what kind of emergency requires the receptionist on Christmas Day. I looked at the screen and then at my family's faces. After 8 years of keeping quiet and letting them believe what they wanted, part of me was tired. But another part of me knew that this moment would teach them a lesson that no amount of explanation could. All right, I said quietly and answered the call. Joan, the chairman's voice was loud enough for those near me to hear. Thank God. Where have you been? We have a situation. I said calmly, I'm at Christmas dinner with my family. What's happening? The merger leaked to the press. Bloomberg is running a story in the morning. We need your approval on the public statement before it goes out, and we need your signature on the revised disclosure documents. The SEC is asking questions, and our investors are calling every 5 minutes. Can you get to the office? Lucas was grinning, expecting this to be a minor issue that would prove his point about my replaceable nature. I asked, what time do you need me there? As soon as possible. The board is having an emergency video conference in 2 hours. We need you to lead it. Isabella's smile faltered slightly. I said, hold on, and put the phone on mute. I need to take this call in private. It might take a few minutes. Dad said wearily, of course it will. Go ahead. We'll be here when you're done wasting time on whatever crisis they think they have. I walked into another room and unmuted the phone. Peter, I'm with my family. Can we handle this remotely? Joan, this is an $8.2 billion merger, the biggest in our company's history. We need you present either in person or virtually. The board wants to see their CEO. I understood. Set up the video conference for 2 hours from now. I'll join from here. Send me the statement and disclosure documents. I'll review and sign them within the hour. Are you sure? Your family won't mind? I glanced back at the dining room where I could hear Lucas saying something that made everyone laugh. They'll understand. Send everything to my secure email. Already done. Joan, I'm sorry about the timing. It's part of the job. I'll see you on the call in 2 hours. I ended the call and quickly checked my other messages. The SEC inquiry was routine. They just wanted confirmation of the timeline. Our lead investor was concerned about the leak but confident in the merger's prospects. Our head of legal had drafted 3 versions of the public statement for my review. I spent 15 minutes in the guest bedroom reviewing documents on my phone, approving statements, and sending guidance to the legal team. Then I sent a text to my chief of staff, clear my schedule for the next 6 hours. Board meeting in 2 hours, then calls with major investors. I'll be available remotely. When I returned to the dining room, dessert had been served. Everyone looked at me with barely concealed annoyance. Mom asked, all sorted? Not quite, I admitted. I'm going to need to step away for a board meeting in about 90 minutes. The table went silent. Lucas repeated slowly, a board meeting on Christmas Day? Unfortunately, yes, I said. Dad asked carefully, what exactly is your position at this company? I'd avoided this conversation for 8 years. 8 years of sitting at the kids' table, listening to career advice from my younger brother, being pitted and patronized. Part of me wanted to just blurt it out and watch their faces change, but I knew the lesson needed to unfold naturally. I work at Digital Innovations, I said simply. Isabella added, as a receptionist, though her voice lacked its usual certainty. I do answer phones sometimes, I confirmed. Uncle Arthur interjected, but you said there's a board meeting. Receptionists don't attend board meetings. Grandma Mildred suggested, perhaps she takes minutes. That would make sense. My phone buzzed with a new email from our PR team. Madam CEO, Bloomberg's draft article for your review before publication. They want to include a quote from you about the merger's impact on the industry. I scanned it quickly and sent back notes, then looked up to find everyone staring at me. Mom asked, who was that? PR team. They need approval on a press statement. Tyler's face went slightly pale. Why would they need your approval? Because it's my responsibility, I said. Isabella's hand started to shake, rattling her wine glass against the table. Joan, what exactly do you do at this company? I looked at her for a long time. 8 years of being dismissed, treated like a family failure, and having my explanations fall on deaf ears. And now, finally, the moment of truth. I founded it, I said simply. 11 years ago, right after Harvard. We've grown to about 8,000 employees. The merger Peter mentioned is us being acquired by Tech Titans Corporation for $8.2 billion. The silence was absolute. Dad couldn't seem to finish his sentence. I confirmed, the CEO. And primary shareholder. I own about 40% of the company, which means the merger will net me roughly $3.3 billion, give or take, depending on stock performance and earn-out conditions. Lucas's fork clattered to his plate. Mom whispered, but you said you were a receptionist. I said I answer phones sometimes, which is true. I also meet with investors, make strategic decisions, approve billion-dollar deals, testify before Congress about tech policy, and chair board meetings. The reception work is just something I do occasionally when I'm in the office because I think it's important to stay connected to every level of the business. Isabella's face went from red to white to red again. You've been lying to us for 8 years? I said calmly, I've never lied. You asked me what I do, and I said I work at Digital Innovations. You asked if I answer phones, and I said yes. Every word I've said has been true. You just made assumptions about what those truths meant. Aunt Grace stammered, but your apartment, your car, the way you dress. I said, I like my apartment. It's in a vibrant neighborhood. My car runs fine. Why would I replace it? And I dress for comfort, not to impress people.